ahead. I want to hear this. I want to keep it for our posterity. Go ahead.
If I'd have been 18 of years of age, they would have not deported me because I'd have been a citizen of France then. This way, I was only 12, and my oldest brother was 16, and Carl, the one that died 3 years ago,
Right.
he was 14, and we were all deported. And the only thing that they allowed you to take was, I think, 60 pounds of baggage and 200 marks or 300 marks, and everything else had to be left. That was the Versailles Treaty.
Now this included Mom and Dad?
It included Mother and Dad. That happened in 1918. So my father, who was born in the state of Baden, had a brother, and he was not far away from the borderline, the River Rhine, 20 kilometers, you might say, and he took us in. Father was still in the service because at war's end, no, Father was out of the service then too, but Father was over on the other side where whatever kept. At any rate, whatever happened, we went to live with my Uncle Herman, and he had an inn, and he had room for us.
Do you remember the inn's name? The name of the inn?
Yeah, Schwarzwaldtanne. Black Forest Pine. The Black Forest Pine, Schwarzwaldtanne.
And this is Uncle Herman.
And that was Uncle Herman.
And your father didn't go with you to Uncle Herman?
Yes, we all lived there for a little while.
Okay.
Until we found, to make a long story short, there were so many details in between. Then we found a place to live in town in Oberkirch, which is about 20 miles, I think, from Strasbourg. And in that place, Father then, through the efforts of the government, was repaid for some of the items that we've lost over there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then bought a home.
You color for me.
And Father being a school brewmaster, went into the distillery business professionally. Distillery business, he worked for a long time, and I worked while I was unemployed for a while too. I helped, and my oldest brother was permanently in there, and Father also had some other helpers in there that worked in the distillery. Later on, was made into one of the modern distilleries, and we made whiskey out of corn or maize.
Okay, now how old are you when this is happening?
Well, 16, 17.
Okay.
17, 18. And there's a special process involved, or was involved at the time. You had to have special equipment. You had to steam your maize. You had to bring your maize. You cool your mash down to a certain degree temperature, and then you had to add what do you call it again? Well, anyway, we had to add things to convert starch into sugar.
Did you help do this?
Oh yes, I could do this today. In fact, I often thought of doing this here.
So you were going to school and you were becoming
No. See,
No.
see, that was in the time after I was through apprenticeship too. But my father had started this in 1919 already, 1919, 1920. And the whiskey he made, I might say this, go off my record, off of my line here, but the whiskey he did make, them days, printer all went to America, to the black market here, because I think at that time you had, you were dry. The whole country was dry, and the export whiskey business was pretty good. At any rate.
So was your dad doing pretty good now at this time in his life?
Well, if he say was good, but then inflation set in, see?
Now, how many children did your mom and dad have?
Well, we were 6 boys.
No girls.
No girls. Didn't do any good.
And which one? Which one were you? What number?
I was number 3.
Okay.
And, number 1, number 2, and number 6 has passed on. 1, 2, 6, wait a minute. Erich and myself are the only ones living. Where's Willie, Fritz, and Carl died. And Rudy died, yeah, that's right. 2 of my brothers were killed in the World War, in the last war.
And who were they?
One was the 6th one, and one was the 5th one.
Well, what's their name?
Rudy, Rudolph, and Willie. Both of these were killed. When I left home, Willie was about 5 years old, 6 years old.
So you never saw him again?
I never saw him since, no. No, the pictures I saw later, photos I saw later on, well, if I had seen it on the street, I'd have never known him. I left in 1925. And things were so bad over there, as I said, inflation. No matter what you did have, your money wasn't worth the hoot. I'm going to show you, or if you want to see one, I could show you a 20 billion mark certificate. Not billion, not million, but billion certificate. And things are so bad, from month to month, from year to year, that they had to print money and overprint it, but instead of having 10 billion on, they had to make it 50 billion or something like that. And then it got so bad that the government couldn't print bills fast enough, and they gave permission to the cities to build their own emergency money, as they call it. And some of that I have today yet, 20 and 40 billion, I think. And this is why I say our politicians ought to be crucified for making debts. And they ought to thank our new president for seeing what is going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen in this way, that eventually, like they did over there, they're going to devaluate all the money. Going to say, okay, now you have $1,000 in the bank. You cancel that out. We give you credit for $100. Everybody's down. Everybody down. Down to 10%. Wages and everything. Well, we had wages. To come back, I was mentioning wages now. As I worked at the quarry up there, inflation was so bad that they paid us every day. Every day was payday.
Oh, brother.
We would run down the village, and no matter what there was 2 stores down there. No matter what they had, we bought. You had something in your hand besides a piece of paper.
Oh, no.
You had a candle in your hand, or you had something that you could say, I trade.
Now, how long did this period last like this?
4 years.
Oh, brother. Did you live in Germany then, Grandma?
This, and now our mark now, the German mark now is against the dollar, 2 mark and 10 cents. Or 2 mark and 7 penny, which is about half the worth of your dollar. See? And there, against that, you had to have billions of marks to get $1, because the dollar was the big thing.
Oh, boy.
It was an unbelievable situation, unbelievable. And this inflation period happened 3 times. 3 times it escalated, and then I had to bring it down again. But I would say this, France had the same trouble. Later on, Russia had the same trouble. Austria had the same trouble. The only one saved, I think, was Switzerland. But all the big nations had that same inflationary trend, and they all reduced the dollar. Let that be a lesson to you. Reduce the currency, not the dollar, but let it be a lesson to you. Don't have too many dollars on hand.
Put it into
Tangible things.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Okay, so how long did you work in the quarry?
In the quarry, I think I worked about 3, maybe 4 months in the quarry. And then I got a job with a local electrician in town. Yes, he says, yeah, I can work for you. He said, you can work for me. And that son of a gun wouldn't pay me. First Saturday, he came along and he called me. You know, it's customary over there, once you're over 14, they address you as Mr. Okay, Mr. Brustle, he says, you didn't get your pay. I says, I know, I thought maybe you'd keep a week back. Oh, no, he says, no, he paid me. The second week, the third week, I didn't see him. Well, I needed money.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lot of guts. I called, I went to where he lived. I wanted to know where Mr. Gruber, that was his name, Mr. Gruber is his name. Oh, he's probably over in the inn over there having a glass of beer or something. I went over. What all this? He was sitting around the table with other fellows. Yeah, Mr. Brüstle. What do you want? I said, you didn't pay me. Oh, he says, I forgot. He gave me, he says, take this here for the time till I get it fixed up tomorrow. Well, I figured I'd better look for another job. So, another job come about. But it was over a couple of mountain ranges. The train went about 60, 70 miles out of its way to go around to that place. Anyway.
Now, are you still living with your family?
I'm still
Okay.
at home. Still at home. And Mr. Ziegler. Mr. Ziegler one day came in and he wanted to know off a father about the pump that he had installed. He wanted to see how the pump had worked. And this Mr. Ziegler owned a little generating electric generating plant. It was driven by a little canal, was taken off of the river and went through town as it was customary so many years ago, and he had a little turbine on it. The turbine, I guess you do know, has shovels in. The turbine picks up the water as it rushes in, turns the turbines. And that was his water power. And he could control the level of the water by having a gate there. So he told me that he had he would have an opening if I wanted to work for him. I said, okay, it'll be fine. Appreciate the work in my trade. Went to work, and I got myself a room in an inn. Here you could have meals here. And the cheapest room he had was up in right underneath the roof, which is about the coldest room and the hottest room. And at any rate, asked me, I said, and how much for a day's lodging and meals? Well, I said, 2 mark and 50 cents. 2 mark and 50 pfennig. Well, that was just about $2 and no, half, about 70 cents it was. 70 cents American money. Because our mark was traded as 4 marks to a dollar. So I went to work for him, and no, he says on Saturday, he says 1 week we hold back here, and because I have somebody making the books. I said that's all right. So payday come, and I told him.
Yeah, he had gone to the hospital. This is for you.
Payday come, and my wage was 40 hours.
Thank you. Can she save it?
And it came to about
Say
20.
thank you.
Came to about 20.
She has a piggy bank.
I won't lose it now.
He paid me
Have a chance to go in
in
and buy you something.
German currency,
Real nice.
32 pfennig. In American money, it would have been 8 cents per hour.
Terrible falling asleep.
Now, if I work 8 hours,
You won't fall asleep.
I have 64 cents to pay.
There goes your money. Do you have your billboard?
So I told him, I says,
Your purse.
Mr. Ziegler, I says, I don't see how I can ever live
Right.
on that money. I says, I have to have clothes washed. I have to go, and I have a Saturday to eat and drink, and I have a Sunday to worry about, and I have shoes to buy and work clothes to buy. Well, he says, I'm paying you junior journeyman's union wages. 32 pfennig per hour. And I says that 32 pfennig at 8 hours is $2.56. Leaves me 6 cents. And he says there's nothing that I can do about it. But he says, if you want to work 4 hours, if you want to work Saturdays, we have to work. I says, okay, I work. So I worked more hours a day, and I worked Saturdays, and I quit Saturdays, and to save money, the bicycle, there was no thinking of getting a bicycle. That was out of my reach. I walked over the 2 mountains. I walked home, and I didn't eat for lunch because I figured it was too expensive. I went home and took my old clothes with me. Mother washed my clothes then, and I went again Saturday evening. I took off again, and I walked again the 3 hours or 3.5 hours over there, where I wondered where I had to go.
It took you 3.5 hours to walk to work.
Oh yes, one way.
And then you lodged there, right?
Well, I lodged there.
And
yes,
then you would
I
go
was there
visit
for
your
a week,
parents on the
and
weekend.
I went home Saturday afternoon to get my clothes cleaned
Right.
and to save money. So those were conditions. See? And
I know. How long did you do this? Work for this man?
I guess about 4 months.
And then what did you
Maybe
do?
5 months. And in the meanwhile, meantime, I got acquainted with people who were visiting out of the United States. And Mrs. Bigler. And they were there with their daughter and son. And I casually asked once, I says, if any help, could we expect any help if ever anyone would want to come over to America? She says, oh, well, we have to try. You have to see how conditions are. So it wasn't long afterwards that after they departed, I wrote to them. I said, things are so rough here. I says, as you know, I says, things just don't work out. You can't even make enough to buy your food.
Mm-hmm.
Would you advance me, or would you sign for me over there? See, as if you bring someone over, you have to stand good for them. You have to sign for them that they will not go on to welfare. Even them days you had certain kind of government had obligations for you. So anyway, they sent me the money, and I quickly went and bought a well.
Hi.
How are you?
Fine, how are you?
Okay.
Hi. Grandpa's telling me his story
So
here on
I
recording.
bought the ticket on a steamer ticket. Airplanes, of course, them days he didn't have. On a steamer Stuttgart.
Now you're going
Well, I bought a
friends
ticket.
in America,
I had friends in America, yes.
Okay.
And, I wouldn't say really friends, but
Acquaintances.
they were very nice to me.
okay.
They
Were
sent-
not German? They were
well,
American?
they were Germans. Yeah, they were Germans. But it was their first trip. It was her first trip back since World War I.
Okay.
And as they sent me the money, and I bought a ticket. Ticket cost me $125.
Now where'd you get the money for the ticket?
I said, I wrote to them
They're
to
sending-
ask for help
Okay.
to bring me over.
Okay.
So they sent me the money, and I bought a ticket. They said ticket cost $125.
Now how did your parents feel about this?
How would the mother feel?
Terrible.
Okay, that's enough said. So I left, and on the 25th of March 25, I arrived at Hoboken, and I went to New Britain, Connecticut. That's where the acquaintances or the people that helped me lived. And I had first they had given me a slip, showed a slip so the people know. But really I didn't have much trouble to find my way, with the exception of a colored boy who came to the boat as we came off. Well, I had, I think, $5 or $8 in my pocket. So I had to give him $1. He took us, I think, to Great Central Station. And showed me the right train, showed others the right train, but he showed me which. And for all I know, maybe the fellow that sold us ticket at the counter must have helped me too. I don't know, but I got on the right train. I do know this.
So this was a black man who spoke German? Or understood
I spoke
it?
sign language. I spoke German, but mostly sign language.
Were you afraid? No?
Never.
Okay.
What be afraid of? What should you?
Oh, I just wondered, because some
No.
people would be.
No, I tell you, I myself don't know fear of any kind. I never did. If I have to say something, there it is. I'm not afraid.
So
I
did
may
you,
be sorry afterwards to say what I did say. Sometimes I am. But I have no fear. I have to say what I have to say, and that was all. So I went to New Britain. And New Britain, I think they told me, take a streetcar. Well, I got the streetcar, all right. And I showed the conductor my slip where I wanted to get off because, well, there I was lost. He did say, I know it was Mountain View Station that he wanted me off, that I should have got off Mountain View. I couldn't pronounce it. So I showed him, he says, okay. Well, Mountain View came and he said, see, them days there was a lot of people that came over. There was a lot of immigrants. So he said, okay. So I went there. And, well, the people that I went to see were right at that station there too. And they saw me, they lived right there, and they got me in then. And after about a week or so, I says, I must get myself a job. Well, she says, I'll try. I know so-and-so, he's an electrician. But that so-and-so, I think I worked one day with him and he had somebody in there. I didn't know material. I didn't know. I couldn't run around like that guy there. That guy wanted me to run as fast as he ran. I wouldn't know where I was running to. He was all, and he was only an electrician. He wasn't the boss. But anyway, the next day the boss told me, he says, I can't use you because of the language.
Right.
Okay, fine. So Mrs. Peter says, well, you try the factory next. Factory's up there. I went up to the factory and they wanted to know what I could do. I said, I can do anything. I says, I'll do. I knew that much already.
Now, how old are you?
I'm going on 19. Okay. And
So you're at the factory.
so I got a job there, and they were making ball bearing manufacturing. New Britain Ball Bearing Manufacturing Company, I think they were known as. I had a pretty good job. Put me on a small milling machine. He showed me what to do on a milling machine. A milling machine is a machine where you have a tool that shaves like a multiple blades on there, and you mill something out rather than cut it out. It's being milled out.
Okay.
That's a milling machine. Very simple machine. And I worked on it. And after about 3 months, no longer than 3 months, he says, I've got a different job for you over here. Put me on a big lathe. Showed me what to do. I never worked the lathe before, but I knew what the lathe was supposed to do. See? In other words, so he put me on that lathe.
Now, how are you doing now by this time with the language barrier?
Went to night school.
Very good.
Went to
Okay.
night school to do Britain. I never forget that. I never forget those Dutchmen that could never say, I don't know. They would say, I don't know. I says, you simpleton. I said, don't you know? You say, no.
Was
I
there a
don't
lot of
know.
people in class?
Oh, the city of New Britain had that I think all year round, because there was so many, so an influx.
Right.
They used to call that little town, what I call it, Little Pittsburgh, New Britain, Connecticut. And still today, your good tools come out of New Britain. Good hand tools come out of New Britain, Connecticut. So, well, anyway, I worked this for a while, and then we got into communication here. They left, I think, a month after I did, and they went to Pittsburgh, and well, I don't know how we got to know each other, but I knew, being that we were Protestants, we went to the same church over there.
Now, wait a minute, you're getting ahead of me.
Okay.
Okay. You went to Pittsburgh.
Well, I haven't yet. We got into communication, and I tell you, in communication with each other.
And you're in
Because
Connecticut.
I'm
And
in
she's in
Connecticut, he's in
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. That's correct. And because we were in a predominantly Catholic area, there was about 95% Catholic, and there was only 5% Lutherans of us, Protestants. So at any rate, we knew each other. And
How did you know each other?
I'm going to school, religious school together,
Where at?
in Overkirch.
In Germany.
yes, that was in
You
the,
knew each other in Germany.
Oh,
Sure.
definitely. Oh,
In the
definitely.
same town.
Oh, for
yes.
Pete's
Oh,
sake.
yes, I knew her family. I knew her father. I knew her mother. I knew her. Yeah, to me, I always looked down when she was a little younger than I was.
Spring chicken, huh?
So so we got and it got to be a little lonesome for me. And there was other complications that I didn't like where I lived. And I know I didn't do the lady. I didn't do right to the lady. But I left her. But there were some things I just didn't like. And this is swallowed over the dam. And
This is the lady who sponsored you to come to America?
yes, well, that is the one, yeah.
Okay.
So, at any rate, I came to Pittsburgh. Yeah. I quit the job. I think I had to save myself a couple of $100. I had paid off the debts.
Very
I
good.
didn't know anybody. And everyone told me, if you can't find a job in Pittsburgh, you can't find a job anyplace. That's what they told me in Connecticut. So I took off, train in Pittsburgh. At Pittsburgh, it wasn't long. I got a job. I don't know what the first job was again. Foundry worker? I think that's what it was.
So you wanted to go to a coal mine?
Oh yeah, yes. Couldn't find a job. But 2nd Avenue then was just full of private employment agents, what they called 2nd Avenue. Today it's known as Boulevard of the Allies.
Okay.
That's what it is. But Boulevard of the Allies, it was old, all old houses, narrow, everything was old. And went to the employment agency, just wanted mine workers. You know, I could read. And went in, and I thought, well, I have to tell him a lie. I have to pretend I don't understand him.
Sneaky.
If he asks me a bad question, pretend you don't understand.
Okay.
So he says, where did you work? Well, I gave him a German name of Rheinische Kohlberg. Well, and he heard Rhine and Kohl. Say that's German coal, English coal. Rheinische. And then he knew that the Rhineland is full of coal mines. And well, they were hard up for people. He says, okay. He says, bus leaves this afternoon at 4 o'clock. He says, we're taking the library. PA. Camp. I said, okay. I didn't know what a library was, but I thought try it once. So I went out, took my suitcase, and I was there at the right time. And was taken out there with a lot of other men. And I was put in the room, about as big as these 2 rooms here, with about 10 beds. And there was a young fellow there, and Italian. And he set me straight. I told him, I says, I'm here. I says, I'm going to lie to you. I says, I lied out there, but I'm to you I won't lie. I says, I never worked in a mine. He says, I'll tell you something. He says, the only reason I am here is because I have an old mother to support. He says, I fought in Europe. He says, and I come back, and he says, and now he says, we got to work for starvation wages. He says, everything you buy here, everything they give you here, is being charged against you, and you never come out with any money. Company store. You ever heard that, the song about the company store? So, oh, he says, that's the one side. The other side is this. If you've never been in a mine, he says, a pebble may come down in front of you. If you don't know why that pebble came down, as you may be killed in the next instant. So, and he says, the number 3, I says, we're on strike. I says, you're a strike breaker. I says, okay. I says, how can I get out of here? Well, he says, how did I get out? No, I don't know. I know the bus didn't take me out. I had to walk to a streetcar. I must have walked to the streetcar someplace.
So So before you even went into the mine, you
Yeah,
left.
I told him, I said, tell you what, I said, I'll stay here, I'll eat, sleep, have breakfast, and leave.
He's probably smart.
Yeah.
So I left, and I went, and one day, I guess a couple of days later, I was working in I had a job working at the Pittsburgh Gray Iron Foundry, and they're located today where they have the great big Kaufman warehouse. Remember Kaufman's warehouse?
Mm-hmm.
Resale Street down there.
Mm-hmm.
Used to be a big foundry there. And that foundry later on was sold lock, stock, and barrel to China, to Japan. And they started raising heck over here, sending our material over to Japan. Well, I worked there. They called it as a molder. Some people call it sand pig. Sand pig. Had a mold, and first day I thought, well, that's tough work. You had to make regular molds like you. Well, it's hard to explain. At any rate, you use sand to make molds. Molds were made out of 2 parts, sand, and then put together, and then a hole left on top for pouring, and 2 holes left for steam to come out, so the mold wouldn't explode. But anyway, I made molds that day, and then I thought, oh well, I'm glad this day is done. And then I saw all the fellows laying down their tools. So some of the fellows going for it. What they're going for? I thought, well, then they came back with a little ladle, handle on, about 6 foot long, that you held like that, and a little spout on them, and the inside made a stone. I knew what was coming then. I didn't think we had to pour ourselves. Pouring means to take the liquid iron that was liquefied in the whatever they call it again. And anyway, they all stood in line then, and they got the dippers full, and then they went to their molds and their poured. Of course, I had to wait and see what was going on, so I see then I had to get mold too, and I thought that thing was going to break me down. Weighed over 100 pounds.
Oh, brother.
But anyway, I hitched a few molds, but then I poured a few. But later on, it got so, we got used to it. There was 80% colored people in there, and I tell you, if you work next to a colored man, you've got to work. They outwork you any time, if they want to.
Now, how old are you now?
I'm not much older. All these things happen quick.
Okay. Now, while you're working there, are you in communication with Grandma?
Yes.
Because this is in
Oh,
Pittsburgh,
yes.
right?
Oh, yes. Yes. Them
Are you dating or anything?
10 days I was living.
Are you?
I was living with I was boarding in Bellevue, and
You're boarding in Bellevue. How did you get to work every day? Streetcar. Okay.
Oh yes, streetcar was a communication you couldn't beat.
Okay.
Streetcar was every place. Oh, one day, I don't know how it was.
Susie checked the need.
Oh, did you? We had to fill potatoes.
Yes. Grandpap's finishing up here. I'm recording this.
She's taking
His
down
story.
Grandpa's life story.
I don't know how it came about, but I got a job at the St. John's Hospital. I don't know how.
What were you doing there?
St. John's Hospital, I was fireman. I was mechanic.
Stationary engineer.
Huh?
Stationary engineer.
Stationary engineering, as you might say.
Well, you're well-rounded, let me tell you.
And I ran an ice machine. They had the big ice machine there run. And if need be, well, you had to go down and fix toilets, or you fix this, or you fix that. And if the fireman's day was off, then I had a fire. And only one day, I don't know what in the world ever happened at St. John's Hospital that day. I still don't know. And I was lucky that I was on there. All of a sudden, my generator started running fast. All the lights are out. All the lights out first, and then all the lights off. Holy mackerel. Quickly I pushed the main in. Whoop, the light went out again. And I pulled out all the small switches, put the main in, put the small switches in there, one. There it was fixed. Only took about a minute and a half. But if somebody else would have been on there, they wouldn't know what the hell to do. And
For someone having an operation too, they probably need their power.
And there was firemen. But firemen, and you had to look after. You had the oil machines, the engine every so often. For all these things. And for that, I think they paid me $120 a month. And off once every 5 weeks or 4 weeks, I think. Once every 4 weeks I was off. 8 hours a day.
Okay. How long were you dating Grandma before you married her?
Oh, a little over 6 weeks.
No. Oh, that was quick.
No. No, we knew each other. We knew each other quite well. And let's see, where did I work then? Oh, wait a minute. Then I got to work in pressed steel car. No, wait a minute. Pressed steel car. Yeah, pressed steel car.
I think you were working with Uncle Bill when we got married.
Pressed steel car. I was got a job as a steam fitter.
But that was through my Uncle
Well,
Bill.
that was really a helper, but I was in a steam fitting outfit, and I was in passenger car, and we built subway cars. And we had to put in the heating system on the railroad cars. I don't know whether you ever saw that or not. Underneath your seat and on along the side, heaters.
Now
And-
that's getting more into what you were trained for, right?
No, not necessarily, but it
No?
was pipe fitting. Well, we did some conduit work in my line, but steam fitting, you've got to have good fittings, and you've got to have a little more knowledge. At any rate, I worked there for a good while.
Now is this where he worked,
That's
Grandma?
pressed steel car.
Okay, is
the
that where you
Keys
worked when you were married to Grandma?
Box. That's where I worked when we got married.
Where were you guys married?
Where would I go from there?
Where were you married? Where did you get
In
married?
Bellevue.
Where at?
On Belf Avenue at home.
At your home.
My house.
You lived on Belf Avenue.
Yes. 228 Belf in the rear. We had a small house.
There's three houses in the rear. That is the
Belonged to
front.
The same people.
Yeah. Clintwoods used to own it. I don't know. I don't think it was.
Okay, Grandma, what's your full name? Martha?
Great.
You have a middle name?
Hertha.
Her?
Middle name
Her.
I've never heard before.
What is it?
Hertha.
H-E-R-T-A. Yeah.
Have you ever heard before?
No. You don't
Nobody-
like it? I think it's kind of pretty.
Nobody around here has ever heard until Bertha came home one time from work. When she worked in Clinton, she says, "You're not the only Hertha anymore." I said, "I'm not." She says, "No." She says, "I worked with somebody by the name of Feltenberger." Well, you might know she was German. And she says, "Her name is Hertha Feltenberger." I said, "Don't tell me." She says, "Yep." So then a little bit later, Hertha came in, and she says, "I hear you have the same name." And I said, "No, are you Hertha?" And she said, "Yeah." And she said, "I had an old German name, an old German end." And she says, "I always liked her name so well, my mother did, so that's why I'm Hertha."
I think it's kind of pretty. So it's Martha, Hertha, Grader. How do you spell Grader?
Grater.
Okay, 1 T.
Only
What's your
difference,
full name?
Gustav Emil Brüstle.
Okay. And what was your mother's name?
Mother's name was P-F-U-N-D-E-R. Funder.
That's her last
Fund.
name or first
That
name?
was her last name. Her first name was Bertha.
Louise.
Bertha?
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was the middle name Louise?
Bertha Louise? No?
Bertha.
Bertha. Okay, what's your father's name?
Friedrich, or Frederick as we call it. Brustle, of course.
No middle name either.
Frederick Wilhelm.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, that was them days. That was the Kaiser Wilhelm, so a lot of boys had to take that name. And
Frederick William Brustle.
I got history of our